Hi everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of my video series on the whole musician, integrating the heart and mind into a healthy body. So we talked about the mind in the first segment, and in this one we're going to talk about the heart. So you don't have to call it the heart. If you prefer the word soul or spirit, any of those would be fine. It's really whatever word means something to you, and I think we can all agree that this category in general is incredibly important, but as we covered in the first video, doesn't really get talked about nearly as much as the mind. I mean, obviously we understand probably a little more about how the mind works and how the brain works in that way in the first video, and this is a little bit more mysterious. But I think it's important to bring up because often we are out of balance and we've lost some of our passion or lost some of our connection to why we do what we do. So after I started working on all of the things that we talked about last summer, the phrase mapping, and really digging into, there's got to be more information out there that we can tap for creating more better understanding of phrasing and of music. That's sort of what led me down that first pathway and that first journey. But it's sort of, there was something that was bothering me about it, something that was missing. And so in the previous video, I think I said that I sort of stumbled on that was really the contribution of the external. We go to external things to strengthen our intellectual understanding, and then we incorporate that into how we learn or how we present music. So the heart, it occurred to me in the same moment that that's really the contribution of the internal. So that's you. So looking to your own rich and varied life experience for meaning, finding your own personal meaning and connection to the music, and making sure that you're infusing your music making with that you're connecting to your own life and your own experience. And I think that this is truly how we will begin to develop our own unique voice on the instrument. That's not going to come from reading books or phrase mapping, and it probably shouldn't even come from just imitating the way somebody else sounds on a recording or your favorite oboist. This should really be, what is your voice? What is your unique sound and approach? Otherwise, why would it matter if we all played, right? We would just listen to a few top people and that would be it. That would be enough. And I don't believe that that's true. I think too that this is also how we keep the passion for what we do alive, that we don't let that, our love of whatever drew us to music in the first place, we don't let that die out, or the embers to grow really low on the fire. And I think sometimes the mind is too dominant. This is what starts to happen. The heart and the love of it starts to get a little bit suffocated by that overbearing predominance of the mind and the critical inner voice and all of those things that we've all struggled with. And I think too that if we are low on those things, we will also have trouble connecting with an audience, because as you know, as a person who theoretically loves music, you typically don't go to a concert just to be wowed and amazed by somebody's technique or their prowess on an instrument. We go because we want to feel something. We want to be moved. And if that performer is not connected to the music themselves, I believe it'll be very difficult, if not impossible, for the audience to connect to the music either. So that's just kind of my setup for this whole thing. So you might be thinking, what do I do if I don't feel confident in this area, or I feel like some of those things that maybe I just described, that your mind has been so dominant that you feel kind of beat down or exhausted, or maybe you don't know very well anymore why you chose music in the first place, or where is the love that you used to feel for music. So I came up with a few ideas. I'm working on some more that hopefully will be a little more fleshed out and developed down the road. But the 3 things that I came up with to help, and that they're things that have helped me, are, number 1, cultivating an appreciation for beauty. So this could be really anything. And I think, beauty as a word choice here is probably inadequate. But what I mean is to communicate that pursuing something that makes your heart sing. So this could be different for everybody, but I sort of would like to think of it as outside the category of music. We all know that we went to music, or we chose it in the first place, like we were just talking about, because we loved it. But I'm really talking about something else in life that you find beautiful. So this could be ballet, this could be reading great novels, this could be learning to cook a specific type of food, or baking, or it could be hiking in nature, or just appreciating nature. Anything, like I said, that makes your heart sing. And developing some kind of passion or passions outside of music can add just so much depth and meaning to our lives. And I bet you, if you look around at your musical idols, and maybe some of them you're working with this week at the Oboe Intensive, I guarantee you that they have outside things that they're passionate about and that they spend time doing. And if you can strike up a conversation with one of them at some point, if you're lucky enough to do that, could be a really cool question to ask them. Like, what is the thing that that you feel passionate about, that drives you outside of music, and how does that thing contribute to your music making? How does it enrich it or enhance it? And really, we're just talking about enhancing your whole life, right? It's not just your music making, but I think it's just so important to just recognize that we all have many dimensions of ourselves. We're not just one thing. We're not just building oboe players only. We're trying to develop entire human beings. So that's the first one, cultivating an appreciation for beauty. The second one, I think this is kind of a fun one actually, that I would recommend, is to create what I call a soul playlist. So this is a great thing to do if you feel like you need some extra musical inspiration. And the idea is to put together a playlist that's inspiring to you. So not something that's like, let me get the, 5 best, oboe interpretations of the Mozart concerto. It's not really about that. Although if there is one that you find deeply inspiring that you want to put on there, that's great. That's fine. But this should be music that's special to you, something that makes you, that wakes something up inside of you. And it could really be any genre. It does not have to be classical music. And I don't think it should be limited to oboists for you guys. I think it should be singers. It should be broader than that, because to just listen to oboists, I think you might have that tendency that I have when I listen to clarinetists, which is that I start thinking about, the tone quality and the quality of the articulation and all these sort of technical things. And all of a sudden my mind is totally engaged again, my chattering brain. And that's not what really we want here. We really want just to be put back in touch with what it means to feel something from the music. So just thinking about like oboe virtuosity here, it just kind of misses the point. Okay, so the third one is meditation. So I'm a little out of my depth here. This is something I sort of introduced into my life like pretty recently. And I've always sort of said, I'm just not very good at meditating. I'm just one of those people, I'm just not good at it. I don't know how to do it really. And it's kind of funny because I think that sort of misses the point of what it is that I don't think it's something that we have to be good at. I think it's just establishing a practice like anything else. And as little as like 5 minutes a day has proven to completely dramatically change people's lives for the better. And it has for me. It's really, I've noticed incredible improvements and changes in the rest of my day if I make the time for it. And what I found is that it's an experience of listening at the heart level. So whether you're religious or spiritual or none of those things, just to be quiet, to get into the practice of quieting the mind and experiencing that peace and that silence is just incredibly healing and incredibly valuable. So if you haven't tried it, I would encourage you to try it and see if it helps you. And if just sitting isn't your thing, some people get a lot of have more success, on a nature walk, something, not low intensity cardio, not high intensity, obviously. For me, when I draw, I often get into sort of a meditative headspace where my mind becomes more quiet. So you might find it through something else, but again, just incorporating that into your daily life and your schedule can be just really transformative. And I think I mentioned the pandemic in my last video, and similar thing with this, that, you know, I think when if any of us are overwhelmed with anxiety or really brought down by this situation and the scariness of it, the meditation for me has just been so incredibly helpful. And I've been doing some yoga too. So, but we'll cover that more in the body segment, which is next. So yeah, I'll see you back for the third and final segment of this talk, which will be the body.